aliens and demons have teached us a damn lie. And it goes from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation. That's all they really care about, that we eating up this globe. Because it's just like that idol of Diana. Remember he was selling Dianas? Mm-hmm. He said, if this keep going, we ain't going to have no livelihood. Well, if it's up to me, bro, I'm about to chant down them damn round ball earth shit. They don't get it to a ball earth. Because it's a lie. It's just a damn lie.
Yeah, and they say actually when you Google Earth, like you know, as it's round, it's all of the pictures are like Photoshop.
All of them.
It's all computerized.
All of them.
Every last one. They have no pictures of space because they never been in space.
There ain't no space. You can't get out of the door.
We lost.
They tried to blow it up.
Right.
One thing is, why does the mushroom cloud turn into a mushroom?
Right.
I love you, man. I'm gonna get on, get some sleep. I gotta go to work tonight. I'll see you right next week. All right, man. I'll watch y'all wait till
I'm gonna be back though.
I'm gonna go do this. See y'all next week.
I'm gonna be back because I have to pick
All right,
up.
so-
I'm gonna leave it back in.
Keep your hand up, okay?
Oh, trust
I'm
me.
praying for you.
Hey,
God bless you. What's up, brother? You wanna step out holler for a minute?
A little later, a little later, we supposed to meet with Eric. Okay, about 3:30.
All right.
All right.
You'll be available, right?
You should be done by that. All right, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharal. I'm with my brother Wesley Yasharal. Shabbat Shalom. And we are Savior Word of YAH. We want to thank the elders, Elder Zahar and Elder Bimelik, for opening us up on this Shabbat with the class. I have you forsaken me. The second class, the title is Covenant by Sacrifice. Covenant by Sacrifice. And it's interesting because the elder was preparing his class and him and I talked. And the topic of the class was very similar. We're all going through the same thing and we're all on the same spirit of talking about this sacrifice that you're going to have to make to come in covenant with the Father. Only those that come into covenant with the Father are going to get the gift of eternal life, which means you're going to have to offer a sacrifice. Now, Yahshua offered the perfect sacrifice, Mashiach, which freed us of the law of sin and death. That gave us the grace period to prepare ourselves to have an offering for the Most High. Now, what we have to be prepared for is we have to understand what was the Most High looking for. He was looking for covenant, and he was accepting a sacrifice. He allowed us to do a sacrifice to cover us from what we did wrong. Since he has provided his son, he's looking for a different type of sacrifice. And that sacrifice is the sacrifice of your flesh, allowing your flesh to control your body. He's looking for the sacrifice of sacrificing your ability as mighty ones to do what you want to do in this earth. So he's looking for the sacrifice of obedience. So we're going to open up with that. Let's go to Tehillim, Psalms chapter 51. It was interesting. One of the sisters, Yahanaya, she had brought up that same one, Psalms 51. And we're actually going to open up with Psalms 51. Tehillim, Psalms chapter 51. And again, the title of today's Shabbat service is Covenant by Sacrifice. Covenant by Sacrifice.
Psalms chapter 51. Verse 1. Have mercy upon me, O Elohim, according to your loving kindness. According unto the multitude of your tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against you, you only have I sinned, and done this evil in your sight, that you might be justified when you speak, and be clear when you judge.
All right, so let's understand that this covenant is not between us. This covenant is between the Most High. We made covenant with the Most High, and that covenant is that we are going to be his servants in the earth, and we're going to accept that responsibility, and we are going to treat people according to the way that Yah said we are to treat people. But when we transgress this law, yeah, I might steal from you, and I've offended you, but at the end of the day, we have transgressed the covenant with the Most High. So when we're dealing with people and people do certain things, and then we'll use that as a ransom for sin, like, you know what, he cussed at me, so I punched him. Okay, so no, wait a minute. Your covenant is with the Most High, with Yah. You are not supposed to operate in that manner. So when you can remove the personal aspect of it and say, listen, my covenant is with the Most High, then you can keep your eyes focused on what you need to do. Because again, my sins are ever before me. You know, this is something that we have constantly been in a sinful state. So you can't turn around and try to throw somebody away because they have transgressed. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 51 and verse 5. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me.
So we have to understand that as well. We are born as the sixth-day man. We're shapen in iniquity. We have the ability to do whatever we want. The flesh is not meant to live forever. So it's designed to have flaws and weaknesses, just like the way these American cars are designed to break down conveniently after a certain amount. As soon as the warranty is up, certain parts will break. That's why they give you a warranty for so long. So it was designed that way. Our body is designed the same way. It's designed where, it's going to break. You're going to make mistakes. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Behold, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you shall make me to know wisdom.
So you desire truth in the inward part, in the part that people cannot see. You know, you've took a hold of this covenant, you started keeping the commandments, and you start doing things to the best of your ability, but then you still have that hidden sin within you, those personal sins that you should be confessing to your brothers and sisters so that we could try to pray and we can gain strength in one another to overcome. That's what Yah appreciates. He desires those inward parts, the things that nobody knows about. And when you go and you try to deal with those secret things that nobody sees, that's when he gives you that gift of wisdom.
Verse 7. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which you have broken may rejoice. Hide your face from my sins, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O Elohim, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from your presence, and take not your Holy Spirit away from me.
So create in me a clean heart. Now, heart represents your mind. Create in me a clean mind, because my mind has been destroyed. I grew up in Babylon. I grew up in the flesh. I was shapen in iniquity. In sin did my mother conceive me. So I need a new mind. I need a fresh mind that understands more knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and how to serve the Most High. So you have to first authorize Yah. You got to realize, wait a minute, this first of all, I'm trying to use this time, this grace period, for something that's going to last forever. And my mind is designed where it's going to have an expiration period. It's going to cause me to die. So create in me a clean heart. Give me better understanding. And you're only going to do that by washing yourself with this word and ingesting the living waters so that your mind can be refreshed.
Psalms chapter 51 and verse 12. Restore unto me the joy of your salvation, and uphold me with your free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors your ways, and sinners shall be converted unto you. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O Elohim, you Elohim of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of your righteousness. O Yahweh, open you my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise. For you desire not sacrifice, else would I give it. You delight not in burnt offerings.
So he desires not sacrifice. That's not what he wanted. He wanted covenant. But unfortunately, because we flawed the covenant, there has to be a sacrifice. And even in the definition of covenant, it's going to be two pieces of flesh. There has to be something. It has to cost you something because it's an offering. So it's not about the sacrifice. It's about the offering. And that offering has to cost you something, which is a sacrifice. So it's not about the sacrifice. It's about the offering. And how do you know that? Go to the next verse.
The sacrifices of Elohim are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. O Elohim, you will not despise.
So those are the sacrifices of Elohim. A broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. These are the sacrifices that Yah is requiring for us. Now, he allowed us to do physical sacrifices. But at the end of the day, if you're going to sacrifice because you have to make an offering that's going to cost you something, then let it be of a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. But again, when you go up to verse 16, it says, but he did not desire sacrifice. In other words, he didn't desire you to have a broken spirit and a contrite heart. He desired you to be obedient, offering yourself a perfect offering. Yahshua was the perfect offering because he sacrificed himself, but he offered himself in the living. And that cost him something because he's a God, king, high priest that can send 1,000 angels to come down here and destroy anybody that disagrees with him. But he didn't do so. Instead, he followed his father's words. And that was the perfect example. All right. Finish that up.
Do good in your good pleasure unto Zion. Build you the walls of Jerusalem. Then shall you be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon your altar.
Then shall you be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness. That's what he's looking for. The sacrifices of righteousness. All right. So he told you here, I did not desire sacrifice, but you cannot offer me something that doesn't cost you something. Let's go to Hosea chapter 6. Hosea chapter 6. And Shabbat Shalom, family. Thank you for, hanging in there with us. We're trying something different. We definitely want to make sure the elders, those that have more experience than us, I've been in the walk for about 10 years. So I've gained a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But we have elders, praise Yah. We have elders in our assembly that have been walking, as elders for over 10 years. And they have a whole wealth of information that has to be given out. And this entire day belongs to Yah. So we're trying to utilize this day a little bit better so that we can get more message to you, so we can reach more people and touch more people. So shouts out to all those that hung in with us since 10 in the morning. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Lucas Cool. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Frederick Ben Yahuwah. Shabbat Shalom to my sister Yahanaya Yasharala. Shabbat Shalom to my sister Ariel Smith. And Shabbat Shalom to my sister Tamika Wilson. Praise Yah for all those that are hungry for this word. So we're going to Hosea chapter 6. And we're going to start this at verse 1. And again, the title of the Shabbat service is Covenant by Sacrifice.
Come and let us return unto Yahweh, for he has torn and he will heal us. He has smitten and he will bind us up. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Then shall we know, if we follow on to know Yahweh, his going forth is prepared as the morning. And he shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and the former rain unto the earth.
All right, so verse 2. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. This is the prophecy of Mashiach being 3 days in the ground. He's raised on the third day. Y'all don't do anything without telling his servants, the prophets, first. This is why the disciples were able to say, oh, he was raised on the third day according to the scriptures. These are the scriptures. And then he's talking about the resurrection, because now he's talking about as he shall come unto us as the rain and as the latter and former rain unto the earth, which means he's going to come at the time of harvest and harvest us and give us what it takes for us to produce that fruit. Go ahead.
Then shall we know if we fall, verse 4. O Ephraim, what shall I do unto you? O Yehuda, what shall I do unto you? For your goodness is as a morning cloud, and as the early dew it goes away. Therefore have I hewed them by the prophets, I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and your judgments are as the light that goes forth.
So I've hewn them by their prophets, the servants of the Most High that spoke. I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and your judgments are as the light that goes forth. So this is why people don't like when you deliver the word to them, when you represent the authority of the word, because they are being slayed. But it says he that tries to save his life will lose it, and he who gives his life will receive it. This is how you give your life, by offering your life as a sacrifice, by taking that chastening and admonition of the word, and allowing your flesh and your old mind to be slayed by his word. Go ahead.
Verse 6. For I desire mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of Elohim more than the burnt offerings.
So there's your second witness. I desired mercy, which we're going to look at that definition, and not sacrifice. He didn't want us to have to sacrifice anything. And knowledge of Yah more than these burnt offerings. So if you look at that word for mercy, so that you can get a better perspective of what he desired over sacrifice, it's Hesed, or Chesed, which is H2617. Chesed. That's where they get the Hasidic Jews from. Hesed. And that's kindness, by implication towards Elohim, piety, beauty, favor, good deed, kindness, mercy, pity, reproach. So these are what he's requiring for us to do good, to be obedient. That's what his whole word is about. It's about being chesed or hesed, offering kindness, righteousness. He's desiring that and the knowledge of Elohim, knowledge of Yah, over all these sacrifices and burnt offerings. Go ahead.
But they, like men, have transgressed the covenant. There have they dealt treacherously against me.
So they, like men, instead of offering this kindness, instead of making this offering of obedience, they transgressed the covenant and dealt treacherously against Yah. And how did they deal treacherously against Yah? By dealing treacherously amongst each other. You can't touch Yahweh up there. You ain't hurting him, but you hurting his people. You hurting yourself. You don't even belong to yourself. You belong to Yah. Go ahead.
Gilead is a city of them that work iniquity, and is polluted with blood.
All right, we can stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 7. So we see that the sacrifices of Elohim are a broken spirit and a contrite heart. That's the sacrifices that if you have to make a sacrifice, that's what it needs to be. So Yahshua's sacrifice of him giving up his life to buy us a grace period was supposed to cause a broken spirit, because man, this man gave up his life for me so that I could learn to do the right thing. But yet I did all this wickedness. So now I have a broken spirit. Now I feel down on myself because, man, I felt real proud and boastful, but now I'm humbled. I have a contrite heart. I want to do better. That's the offering. Those are the sacrifices of Elohim. But he said, look, I desired you to be righteous. I wasn't looking for that sacrifice. But now that you're here, this is the proper sacrifice. But that's not what I wanted. All right, so we're going to Jeremiah chapter 7, and let's start this at verse 1.
The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, stand in the gate of Yahweh's house and proclaim there this word, and say, hear the word of Yahweh, all you of Yehuda that enter in at these gates to worship Yahweh. Thus says Yah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to dwell in this place. Trust you not in lying words, saying, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh, the temple of Yahweh are these. For if you thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, if you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, if you oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other mighty ones to your hurt, then will I cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Behold, you trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will you still murder and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto Baal, and walk after other mighty ones whom you know not? And come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? In this house, which is called by my name, is this house which is called by my name become a den of robbers in your eyes? Behold, even I have seen it, says Yah. But go you now unto the place which was in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people, Yasharal.
Drop down to verse 16.
Therefore, pray not you for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear you.
So he will not hear you. He is not accepting your sacrifice. He's not accepting your prayer. He's not dealing with you because you have broken the covenant. You have decided that you do not want to have a broken and contrite spirit. This is the whole reason he's chastening us, so we can have a broken and contrite spirit. But we won't be broken. You know, that's like in Isaiah chapter 1, he said, look, I'm not even gonna chasten you no more. Because the whole head is sick. You won't listen. Go ahead.
See you not what they do in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other mighty ones, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger, says Yahweh? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus says my sovereign Yahweh, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man, and upon beast, and upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and shall not be quenched. Thus says Yah of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharal, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices, and eat flesh. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day that I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, concerning burnt offerings or sacrifices.
So even when he freed us out of Mizraim, out of bondage, he required us to be obedient. But he didn't command us to do burnt offerings and sacrifices. We turned around and wanted to worship a calf and want to give the credit to the gods on the other side of the river. We wanted to give credit to them for freeing us out of our captivity. So because of that, he had to offer a mercy for us. It had to allow us to do sacrifices and to offer these offerings. So this ties right back in again to what Elder was saying earlier. You know, these things, this why have you forsaken me? This forsaking came because of our actions or because of what we do. Nobody's sitting around here acting like, oh, we went through this struggle because we perfect. We went through this struggle because of our own actions. Then when your own actions cause this struggle, now you have a choice. Am I going to offer this sacrifice? Am I going to make this offering to make up for what I did and become a servant and come back into covenant? Or am I going to sit there and blame Yah? Because I done lost this, I done lost that. Am I going to be bitter? Or are you going to turn around and do your job and accept the chastening of the Most High? For he says, he whom he chastens is whom he loves. We talk about Job. Job his way was perfect. He was a perfect man in his generation before Yah. But when he started receiving that chastening a little bit, he didn't blame Yah. But if even a Mashiach had to say, oh Yah, why have you forsaken me? So what you think Job did? He started to complain a little bit and cry a little bit. And Yah had to come deal with him the way a father deals with a son. And at the end of it all, he was wise in that. He never blamed Yah, but he was wise enough to know I should have kept them complaints to myself. Look, I heard you, Yah, before, but now I see you. Now I understand you. And certain people have to go through certain things for them to take their understanding to the next level. So this is happening in all of our lives. We have to go through these things so that we can be brought to the next level. If I didn't go through what I went through and I didn't lose the building and didn't lose everything when I said, oh, I got it. No, this is nothing. I done managed 4 or 5 buildings. This is nothing. Surely Israel's going to go behind this. I had to go through that. I had to understand things. I had to be put back in perspective of who you really are. And now I know better. But the elder was pulling my coattail and trying to teach me certain things. But until you go through certain things, until you make certain sacrifices and certain falls, you're not going to understand. But all things work for the glory of Yah, not your glory.
Amen.
Because if it been my glory, we'd still be in the building. We'd be having 100,000 people and we'd be saving the world, getting ready to leave out of this place.
Amen.
But it's Yah's glory when it's his time for that to happen.
Amen. Praise him.
YAH chapter 7 and verse 23.
But this is what he asked us and commanded us.
But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your Elohim, and you shall be my people, and walk you in all the ways that I've commanded you, that it may be well unto you.
This is what he commanded us. He didn't ask for all these sacrifices and this. He didn't want you to suffer and all this. No, but because of our actions, we had to go through that suffering. It's only right. If he wants to give you everything, he wants to give you the world because the world belongs to you because you are representing him in the flesh on this earth, then you're going to have to suffer. Or else it's unfair to the rest of the nations that did wickedness that are going to receive their punishment after we receive ours.
But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, but walked in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward.
As it is to this day, we hearken not to the word, nor even try to hear it, but we walked in the counsels, in the imagination of our evil minds, and went backward and not forward. It goes right back to what Elder Melech said earlier. There's a way that seems right to a man, but the ways of the end of those ways is what? Elder? Death. So this is what we do when we try to go our ways, because we're going to do things that are going to be beneficial to us. Self-righteousness, even when we do a good deed for somebody else, is to make us feel good about ourselves, so like we can feel high and pious and holy and all that and feel like, oh yeah, we good, because we really know those the wicked things that's in our heart that we hiding from other people. We really understand that, but we do those things. But if we hearken to his voice and incline our ears to him and let his word be the counsel and all those that are counseling us according to this word, then now we can get a true offering and have a humble and contrite spirit.
YAH chapter 7 and verse 25. Since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Mizraim unto this day, I have sent unto you all my servants the prophets, daily rising up early and sending them. Yet they hearkened not unto me, nor inclined their ear, but hardened their neck. They did worse than their fathers.
As it is to this day. So if in all these times of antiquity, the Most High keeps sending these servants, keeps sending these people that speak in the word of Yah to warn the people about their ways, to move them, to shepherd them away from death. But ain't nobody listen. As it is to this day, ain't nobody listening. So does that mean the servant just shut his mouth and he don't say nothing? And he be quiet because ain't nobody listening and just take care of his own? Then he's a hireling. No, you still go out there and you say what you need to say. You do what you need to do. I don't care if one person is listening. We are here to do the testimony of Yahshua. Go ahead, Elder.
Just following up on that, I mean, he's going to send us, you know, if the people are not hearing, if they're not receiving, we don't stop what we do, he's going to send us unto who will hear.
Amen.
Meaning in the parable of the guy that had the marriage supper.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he invited his people, and they gave excuse the marriage for them, and then he offered up the lamb. He said, the lamb is offered, meaning the Mashiach had been sacrificed, like in your class. Mm-hmm. And then he said, go to the highway and byway and let whoever will let them come. And so that's where we representing at this juncture is like, I think the Spirit is about to go, and the whole world going to see, you know, what Israel had a privilege of experiencing. But if they rejected, then, you know, there's plenty of people that didn't know who they were that are going to respond to that word. He said, go to the highways and byways and whosoever, let them come. So again, the Spirit is here. We represent the Spirit of truth for these times. The Bible is still being written only in heaven, meaning the people that you read about, their love is going up in history. They're going to live. You're going to see them, those of us who attain unto life. So again, that's what you want to do. You don't want to sit down here, play church with the world and the system and die like a dog.
Amen. And
can't stand before the God of heaven. What you want to do is be an enemy of the world, right? And that's what the scripture's saying.
Yep.
And
a friend
you
of
might,
mine.
yeah, but you know, no man can charge you with sin, meaning that you've tried to bless everybody, you're forgiving, a kind, but you're truthful, meaning you just have to reflect the virtues of the Father as expressed in the scripture. That's why the Savior is the Word. I try to represent as my Father's represented. And I have my own personality. I'm not trying to be Abraham or David or no, I'm trying to be Ben Melech. But I learned how to walk through, you know, what they experienced. So what they experienced, meaning they didn't have angel wings. They weren't walking around holier than thou. You're reading about people, human beings that same problems as us, had women problems, had kid problems, had, you know, tax problems, had, you know, if you read and learn to love the scriptures, it's going to give you plenty of insight into, you know, how to navigate your walk, because it is a path we have to walk in covenant.
Amen.
And let me just say this, you know, I mean, I know it's a little winded, but I want to say our problem is center. If we were centered in the Father and His Word and His kingdom, I think Haggai gets into that. If you would bring up money, but here we all about our own houses. And like when I was up there, we all have houses. We all have to take care of physical responsibilities, but yet we all gonna claim to be the church. Yet the church has no money, has no influence, has nothing. So somebody's lying, right? So what we have to do is get our priorities in order. That's my counsel. If I'm being heard out there, let the people out there understand that your center is the covenant, your relationship between the Father and His people. Meaning that first, you have to love Yah, and then secondly, love the people as yourself. I mean, this is the whole law. So so where is it the Brent? Where did that come into the, you feel me?
Yeah, I mean, you got to handle your responsibilities, because you can live in a tent outside in the middle of the wilderness. If you the disciples did, they sold all the stuff and they went into the wilderness. But you cannot allow Yah to suffer because of the family you decided to take up. Nobody made you go in there and father these children. Nobody made you go grab this wife. That was your choice. So you are responsible for handling those responsibilities, but you cannot allow your main responsibility on this earth, which is to serve Yah, suffer because you took on more than what you can chew. But because if we all said we want to float in heaven and we just going to be all about Yah's word, we'd cease to exist as a nation. And the commandment was be fruitful and multiply, or else there is no Israelites. We're not here. But what happens is folk will use that earthly responsibility and feel that they are reaching the goal of being a great servant of Yah because they took care of their house.
Right.
Because they paid their bills. And that's the point that
Right.
elders trying to make. I'm a good Christian because I keep commandments and I take care of my family.
I paid my bills. I mean,
That's
I'm a good slave.
Exactly. That's the slave mentality. I
Yes,
did
sir.
what Master said. I did what Master holds as the success, the American dream. But y'all saying no. I may pull your card and cause you to have to sacrifice your family.
Oh.
And guess what? He not gonna give that charge to everybody. Because just like Job, everybody ain't Job. I definitely ain't Job. I could never sit here and talk about my Job moment. I suffered from my own transgressions. But Job was a special man, so he was chosen to have a special sacrifice and calling, just like Yahshua was a special vessel.
Teach.
Let's stop right there. Let's move on. Let's go to 2 Samuel. And this is the problem with sacrifice. People want to sacrifice, and that's why we had to get rid of the sacrificial system that we used to use with these animals. People want to sacrifice things that ain't the best that they have. All you have is your all. That's the only thing that's going to be acceptable. Your best. If you're not offering that, it's not good enough. And your best isn't, well, I'm going to transgress the law and then I'm going to offer my best sheep here. That's not your best. Your best was you could have avoided that. That's the whole point. But either way, you cannot offer, I kept saying this, you cannot offer something that has not cost you something. And our patriarch, our forefather Dawid, he understood that concept. So we're at 2 Samuel chapter 24, and we're just going to read 18 through 25. And Shabbat Shalom, Tony Yahal. Good to see you, sis.
And Gad came that day to Dawid and said unto him, Go up, rear an altar up unto Yahweh in the threshing floor of Aranah, the Jebusite.
All right, now the Yebus or the Jebusites are the people of the Canaanite nation of where Jerusalem is. So when this is how you know where they talk about Jerusalem ain't Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the original name. Jebus was the original name of Jerusalem, the Hebrew Jerusalem. All right, and what you're seeing here is this is after David, because the people of Israel were being wicked. Yah stirred up an evil spirit into King David, Dawid, and he numbered the people. And now he realized, oh my goodness, what have I done? And now he's trying to offer a sacrifice. Again, this is the sacrifice that you offer when you find yourself in transgression. Go ahead.
And Dawid, according to the saying of Gad, went up as Yahweh commanded. And Aranah looked and saw the king and his servants coming on toward him. And Aranah went out and bowed himself before the king on his face upon the ground. And Aranah said, Wherefore is my sovereign the king come to his servant? And Dawid said, To buy the threshing floor of you, to build an altar unto Yahweh, that the plague may be stayed from the people.
That the plague may be stayed from the people. Because when we transgress, we bring a plague on us that causes our death. And when you are a leader of Yasharal, when you are a shepherd of Yasharal, and you transgress, it can allow a plague to come. A lot of times you had characters in this book that did the wrong thing, and many of them lost their lives. But you also see plenty of times where there was a plague amongst the people that caused many to die because one Israelite was in transgression. He wasn't even necessarily the leader. So we have to understand this is what happens, how closely we're attached. If I have a messed up finger that froze off and it gets gangrene, if that thing ain't fixed before the worst of it happens, it'll spread to the whole body, all the way into your head. It will kill you. And if you can't stop that thing from spreading, you have to cut it off. Go ahead.
And Aranah said unto Dawid, Let my sovereign the king take and offer up what seems good unto him. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing instruments, and other instruments of the oxen for wood. All these things did Araunah as a king give unto the king. And Araunah said unto the king, Yahweh your Elohim accept you.
So that's a great offering. Araunah is making a great offering unto Yah, and he's trying to offer it through the king Dawid. But there's a problem here. There's a problem. There's nothing wrong with the works of Araunah, but there's a problem. Go ahead.
And Araunah the king said unto Araunah, Nay, but I will surely buy it of you at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings unto Yahweh my Elohim of that which does cost me nothing.
He could not offer something that did not cost him anything. All right? Now, we don't do physical sacrifice offerings anymore. But at the end of the day, how are you going to give something to Yah that didn't cost you nothing? But the perfect sacrifice is to offer ourselves in the living, to live for Yah as the service, to serve at what we're supposed to do. But if it's not costing you nothing, you don't have to make any sacrifices. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to give something up. You don't have to allow somebody to sit and talk crap about you, knowing that you could defend yourself. You're not giving up anything, then you're offering a sacrifice that didn't cost you nothing. It's not going to be accepted. So Dawid understood that. And this is what we often like to do. We like to come into a church mentality that, look how big my church is. Look at my pastor. He's got a helicopter and drives a Mercedes-Benz. That's your offering. So another man did that, and that's what he's doing, and you trying to do the offering. Or this is my elder. Look at all these great works he's done. He's done all these great works. That's not your offering. That's his offering. That's what he did. What's going to cost? So if you're going to be part of that offering, what is it going to cost you? What are you giving up? How are you adding unto this? How are you sweating? How are you promoting this? How are you taking this to another level? You cannot offer something that did not cost you something. Finish it up.
So Dawid bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. And Dawid built there an altar unto Yahweh and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So Yahweh was entreated for the land, and the plague was stayed from Yasharal.
So Yah was entreated for the land, and the plague was stayed from Yasharal because the king had enough righteousness to know that I transgressed, and on top of that, there's a plague, and I have to make an offering unto Yah, and it has to cost me something. I can't use because I'm handsome, or because people like me, or because I'm a king, and I'm going to take everybody else's stuff and offer that. Without your own offering. What is it costing you to walk in this word? What is this covenant costing you? For some of us, it's cost us our families, it's cost us our friends, it's cost us our jobs, it's cost our house. And you think you're going to stand next to me or next to another servant that gave up all that and it didn't cost you nothing because you sat in the back and put some fringes on? Not according to this book, because every character you read about in here that did righteousness, it was a cost associated with that. Let's move on. Let's go to Galatians chapter 4. So everybody is not an artist. Everybody is not a teacher. Everybody's not a singer or a sculptor or a Levite or somebody that does clothes, or what. Everybody has different talents. But there's a certain offering that we all have to do. And that offering is again, what are you gonna do? You're gonna deny this word in front of man? That's your offering. That's a huge offering. To the point where you say, anybody who denies me in front of man, I'm gonna deny you before the Father. I'm denying your offering. You the offering. But your offering didn't cost nothing because you only did it when it was convenient. When you was around a bunch of Israelites, you was Israel. But then when you went out amongst the world, you a Gentile. Or you going to hold back the truth. You going to hold back your belief in Mashiach because it ain't cool. But then when you're amongst the believers, then it's hallelujah. Praise Yah through the Son, Yahshua. It ain't going to work. So that's what a lot of people are doing. People are living that double life. So when you address somebody that's living that double life, they got one or two choices to make. They can repent, or they're going to turn around and try to offer you. Because it don't cost them anything to offer you. It don't cost them anything to throw you under the bus. Galatians chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 8 through 31.
Howbeit then, when you knew not Yahweh, you did service unto them which by nature are no mighty ones. But now, after that you have known Elohim, or rather are known of Elohim, how turn you again to the weak and beggarly elements, whereunto you desire again to be in bondage? You observe days and months and times and years. I am afraid of you, lest I have bestowed upon you labor in vain.
So you knew Elohim now. You know Elohim. And now that you know Elohim, you know that he didn't desire these sacrifices. He wanted obedience. So if he wanted obedience, why are you going back to sacrificial? Where, you observe days. On this particular day, it's the Shabbat, so we offering 7 sheep. And it's new month, so we offering that we killing these animals. And it's this specific time, and it's this year, and you're doing all these sacrifices and offerings. Why are you going back to those beggarly elements when he told you through the scriptures? I didn't ask you for none of these sacrifices or offerings. I asked you for obedience and asked you to do well and do righteousness and not do wickedness. To have mercy, to be chesed. Go ahead.
Brethren, I beseech you, be as I am, for I am as you are. You have not injured me at all. You know how through infirmity of the flesh I preached the good news unto you at the first. And my temptation, which was in my flesh, you despised not, nor rejected, but received me as an angel of Elohim, even as Mashiach Yahshua. Where is then the blessedness you spake of? For I bear you record that if it had been possible, you would have plucked out your own eyes and had given them to me. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth?
And that's the sacrifice that you have to be willing to give. You have to be willing to give the truth to people, understanding that you may become an enemy. And unfortunately, you might be an enemy in your own house, amongst your own people, against your own nation. Dawid became an enemy to his own people, to the point where he crying out to Yah, all for trying to do righteousness. Now, why did that happen to him? He did some wickedness too. Some wickedness he did do. So Yah gonna do twofold. He gonna allow you to suffer for the things you did wrong, but allow that to count towards your account if you deal with the chastening like sons. So that's the problem. We don't want to be somebody's enemy, so we'll hold back the truth. We'll hide the testimony of Yahshua amongst men because we seek the friendship. We don't want to pay the price for the sacrifice. We want to sacrifice something that don't cost us anything. Well, you got to be willing to pay that price. Just like Abraham, he was ready to sacrifice Yishak. And Yah said, no. Don't touch him. I prepared another sacrifice for you over there. Yah will come in and be merciful, but you better be ready. And that's how it is when you tell people the truth, especially your loved ones, especially people you don't want to lose the most. You tell them the truth. And if you become their enemy because you tell them the truth, so be it. That's a sacrifice. Go ahead.
They zealously affect you, but not well. Yea, they would exclude you that you might affect them. But it is good to be zealously affected always in a good thing, and not only when I am present with you.
All right. So they want to exclude you that you might affect them. So people will literally try to get away from you because they know what they're doing is wrong, but they don't want to change. And if you be around them, they might change. Because the spirit and the flesh are warring against each other. The person's spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So you have to give them whatever you can give them. Tell them the truth. If they leave and they exclude themselves from you, but you left them with that hope. You left them with that truth. And guess what? We've all messed up and fallen short. Then you can repent and you can come back. But you got to be willing to offer that sacrifice because you are a servant of the Most High. We are a nation of servants. That is his nation. He said in what was it, Isaiah 49 that we read? My nation, my servants, that is his nation, his servants, those that serve Yah in spirit and truth. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Lucas chapter 8. And we're going to see Yahshua's example. Yahshua was willing, ready and willing to sacrifice. If he's willing to give up his life, you think he's going to be afraid to tell you the truth? But like we read, your own family will come up against you. So now he's amongst his own family. Yahshua didn't go out amongst the Greeks. He didn't go out to the heathen. He stayed around Israel. He stayed around Israel. If there was some Gentiles, they came to him. He didn't go out to them. So all this persecution you're going to see with Yahshua, that's his own people persecuting them. Because he has become their enemy because he tells them the truth. Because he is the truth. He's the word. The truth cannot be a lie. So we're in Lucas chapter 8. We're going to read verses 26 through 39. And you figure, you know what? Maybe we don't have a bunch of people, busting through the door to come in here because we ain't doing no miracles. If we did some miracles, surely they would love us, right? Surely if I was, using the powers that I have to heal people and bring them back from the dead and heal the sick, surely Israel gonna love me. They gotta love me, right? Or wait a minute, they might not love me because guess what? Even if I did all those things, I'm still a flawed individual. I still sin. I still effed people over. I still, fall short to this day, right? So what about a perfect man? Surely they gonna love that perfect man if he does these miracles and does righteousness, right?
Right.
Surely. Let's find out.
Luke chapter 8 and verse 26. And they arrived at the country of the Gadarenes, which is over against Galilee.
So they are at the country of the Gadarenes, then where are they at? Or if they are right against Galilee, where are they at? If you don't know where Gadarenes are at. Elder?
North Israel.
And what tribe?
Oh, in Galilee?
The Gadarenes will be what tribe?
Gadite.
Gad. He's in northern Israel, and he's amongst Gad. These are his own people. Again, Yahshua did not. He was only sent to the lost sheep of the house of Yahshua. He didn't go out into Turkey and all these other